Support WrestleTalk!
AJ Styles and Randy Orton cut promos. Becky Lynch cuts a promo. The Miz cuts a promo. The Iconics cut a promo. Promos for you. Promos for you. Promos for everyone. And that Vince McMahon screwing Kofi Kingston storyline reaches its thrilling conclusion by Vince McMahon not appearing on the show at all. And which WrestleMania match could possibly be scrapped just days before the pay-per-view? Click the timestamps down below to jump to any of those segments and to Ollie Davis's news. Press the thumbs up, give us a subscribe, and leave a comment down below to answer our question of the day. Do you want to see Kofi Kingston win the WWE Championship this coming Sunday? And make sure you voted in the poll above my head to let me know what you thought of this week's show, where you can choose from SmackDown, Smacktastic, Smack Bang in the Middle, SmackDowner, and a smack in the face. This is the WrestleMania Go Home edition of SmackDown Live. Kevin Owens opened the show for an interview segment with AJ Styles and Randy Orton, who both shared jibes about each other's careers, with Orton mocking AJ for wrestling in bingo halls, and Styles reminding everyone that Randy Orton has been suspended in the past for failing drug tests. It was all good stuff, but this feud really doesn't feel as hot as it probably should. If you'd have told me 10 years ago that AJ Styles and Randy Orton would be a marquee match at WrestleMania, I would have been stoked. However, at present, this just feels like any other match on the card. AJ and Orton got into a scuffle, with Randy laying out Styles with an RKO. It was simple and effective stuff, and way better than Finn Balor going, bleh. Aleister Black, complete with his trapdoor sound effect entrance, teamed with Ricochet and the Usos to take on the League of Nations 2.0 of The Bar, Rusev, and Shinsuke Nakamura next in a very basic 8-man tag. The Usos pinned Rusev with a super kick, and then Raw's Alexa Bliss came out, brand split LOL, to announce that the Usos would defend their tag team titles against Black and Ricochet, The Bar, and Rusev and Nakamura at WrestleMania. Really glad we spent all those weeks building a tag feud between Black and Ricochet versus The Revival there. And speaking of four-corner tag matches, the Iconics came out for an in-ring promo to hype their four-corner match at WrestleMania, where they'll face Boss and Hug, Nia Jax and Tamina, and the Divas of Doom for the WWE Tag Team Championships. There was no angle that followed it or surprise cameo from any of the other three teams in the match. It was just a really great promo by Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. Not sure it needed to be in front of the live crowd, but I enjoyed it greatly. Brutus the Barber Beefcake is going into the WWE Hall of Fame. Hey you there, do you like Raw recaps? Well, we've got not one, not two, but three of the buggers in the space of 40 minutes. It's like watching an episode of SmackDown pre-brand split. And following the rule of three, The Miz beat not one, not two, but all three members of Sanity in a match that Shane McMahon made Falls Count Anywhere midway through. Now, usually I'd be really upset about an exciting NXT call-up with loads of potential being utterly buried like this. But this Sanity is not the same Sanity as the ones we saw in NXT. This isn't the team that tore it up in the Dusty Tag Team Classic. This isn't the former NXT Tag Team Champions. This isn't the team that main evented a takeover show in the first ever NXT War Games match. No, this was a team that was announced for the main roster but didn't actually debut for 2 months. A team that doesn't appear on TV, and when they do, they just lose. So yeah, it makes sense that The Miz was able to beat these three utter jabronis quite easily in a Falls Count Anywhere match, despite them having a 2-man advantage and the boss's son on their side. With all that said, this was a fun Attitude Era like hardcore brawl backstage, and The Miz looked great. Corey Graves introduced Becky Lynch next. Was Kayla Braxton busy or something? And the man cut a quick promo saying she'll win this Sunday at WrestleMania. This was all good stuff, but it was hardly the hot follow-up to that bonkers brawl from Raw. We then got an 18-person mixed tag team match, meaning we got both Battle Royals standing round the ring, and this match featured Naomi, Asuka, Nikki Cross, the Hardy Boys, Heavy Machinery, R-Truth, Carmella taking on Gallows and Anderson, Shelton Benjamin, EC3, Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, Andrade, Zelina Vega, and Lana. And if that wasn't enough, during the match, Lacey Evans walked out. There's enough people here already, Lacey! The action broke down into a brawl, which somehow caused a DQ, even though it didn't earlier in the night during the 8-man tag, and all 18 people threw each other over the top rope. There were some cute spots in all of this, like Nikki Cross jumping onto Shelton Benjamin's back, EC3 doing comedy selling, and the show's true highlight, Otis looking at a terrified Mandy Rose and screaming, "I'm coming!" Asuka stood tall at the end. See seemingly non-phased that she was SmackDown Women's Champion just 7 days ago and is now in the pre-show Battle Royal for losers. The men's Battle Royal seems particularly losery this year, as they're all playing second fiddle to those two lads from Saturday Night Live. Because the WrestleMania match for the United States Championship between Samoa Joe and Rey Mysterio required some much-needed help, seen as though Joe has lost the last few weeks on both Raw and SmackDown, and Rey was pinned by Baron Corbin of all people on Monday night this week, Joe quickly beat the former Mustafa Ali in a short match. Not sure it helped the WrestleMania match, to be honest, but it's nice to see Samoa Joe get a win before his Mania title defense. Although Joe's WrestleMania plans might now have changed, so keep around for Ollie Davis's news segment regarding that little tease. And the main event of the show saw the contract signing for Daniel Bryan and Kofi Kingston's WrestleMania match for the WWE Championship. After weeks and weeks and weeks of storytelling of Vince McMahon constantly screwing over Kofi Kingston, both men just signed the contract and that was it. Michael Cole was also there. Brand split LOL. Both Kofi and Bryan cut really good promos, but this was easily the flattest segment this feud has had, which is a shame because it's supposed to be the big go-home angle for WrestleMania. With all that said, I've never been happier to be wrong about there being more McMahon shenanigans like I thought there might have been last week. However, it would have been nice to give that story some sort of logical conclusion. Still, it was better than ending a show with Baron Corbin pinning Rey Mysterio. SmackDown Live has easily been the best of the two main roster shows for all of 2019 so far, and the majority of the build to WrestleMania from the Blue brand has been great. But this was a surprisingly tame show for the final build to the biggest show of the year. Lots of talking, meaningless action, and a damp ending. This week's SmackDown Live was smack bang in the middle. And now over to Ollie Davis with the news about a possibly scrapped WrestleMania match.
Great review, Luke. I, for one, loved how WWE paid off the heel Vince McMahon versus New Day storyline on the Go Home episode. Everything is totally wrapped up neatly now. And come this Sunday, Season 1 of our Fantasy Wrestling Predictions League, Wrestle League, will also conclude, revealing who, out of me, Luke and Laurie, will have to do the savage music video cover punishment. It's such a savage punishment. Head over to WrestleTalks Patreon by clicking the link in the video description below to suggest which songs you want us to cover, and we'll put the top 5 up for a vote tomorrow. Luke's probably going to lose, so make it a really difficult rap. Wrestle League Season 1 covers all the pay-per-view predictions between Royal Rumble and this Sunday's WrestleMania, which Laurie currently leads with 19 points, me in second with 16, and Luke bringing up the rear on 14. But it's not just me, Luke and Laurie who are competing against each other. Anyone who pledges $5 or more on our Patreon page can also take part. There are currently over 500 people in competition, and still 4 pay-per-views left to predict, with WrestleMania 35 on Sunday, the New Japan Ring of Honor G1 Supercard on Saturday, NXT TakeOver on Friday, and Impact's United We Stand event on Thursday. What a card Impact have put together, with, amongst others, the Lucha Brothers versus Rob Van Dam and Sabu, Rich Swann versus Flamita, Sami Callihan versus Jimmy Havoc, and Tessa Blanchard versus Joey Ryan. Submit your Wrestle League predictions for United We Stand by heading over to WrestleTalk's Patreon page. But wrestling Tessa Blanchard isn't Joey Ryan's only dick move over WrestleMania weekend. He's also letting you take photos with him whilst touching his penis. The wrestler most famed for his penis plex move has revealed, by popular request, you can touch it. Pro photo ops available at WrestleCon weekend. Go to http://WrestleCon.com under Pro Photos in the menu tab to pre-order. Come on, indie wrestling, it's just merch with you guys. Pro Photos pre-order 7. WrestleMania weekend is really heating up. Now for my story at this time, the WrestleMania 35 pre-show matches have been revealed. Generic backstage WWE interviewer segue nailed. Because WWE want to get everyone on the show, they just didn't say which show, the promotion have announced their 2 battle royals will now take place on the WrestleMania pre-show. Well, it's the pre-show. 29 participants have so far been announced for the Giant the Memorial Royal Andre Battle, most notably Braun Strowman and Saturday Night Live special guest correspondents Michael Che and Colin Jost, with just 13 women confirmed for the WrestleMania Women's Battle Royal so far. But what about the pre-show? Well, it's the pre-show. If we can figure out the game capture card, Luke, Laurie and and I will be live streaming us playing WWE 2K19 on Screenstalker before each pay-per-view over the weekend. Subscribe to Screenstalker to know when we go live. Sadly, one match might not just be bumped from the main card, but WrestleMania 35 altogether. Before last night's episode of SmackDown Live began, WWE announced on Twitter the pre-advertised match of Rey Mysterio versus Andrade would no longer be happening. And for once, it's not just because Vince McMahon changed his mind last minute. Backstage news from SmackDown Live. Rey Mysterio sustained an ankle injury during his match with Baron Corbin on Raw and will be unable to compete against Andrade tonight. So your fault, Baron Corbin. The severity of the injury is currently unknown, so Mysterio will continue to be evaluated as WrestleMania draws closer. If he isn't cleared, his United States Championship match with Samoa Joe will have to be scrapped. If only there was a John Cena line around with no scheduled match next. WWE have called out John Oliver for his controversial monologue on the company. Click the video on the right to find out more. Enter our Fantasy Wrestling Predictions League by heading over to Patreon now and subscribe to Screenstalker for our WWE 2K19 live streaming this weekend. I've been Ollie Davis, and that was wrestling.